Hello, my name's Adam, and I'm going to introduce you to the game of Tafl. And this is a version called Hnefatafl, and I've covered it before, but it's where you use edge escape rules, and this is going to be where escape is to the corners. And let's see, so it's all the different versions of Tafl. So they're all sort of differentiated by how many squares they have on a board, and the number of pieces and where they're located. And this board has 11 squares by 11 squares, and it has two opposing sides. The white side here is the defenders, and there's 13 of them. There's 12 pawns and the king, and then the other side has 24 pieces. And just to go over a little bit of the history of the game, scientists have found boards that were 11 by 11, but there's been nothing in the historical records that shows this exact setup. And this is just kind of a guess, an estimate of what how the board may have been set up with 11 by 11 squares. There's really only, out of all, basically about 7 different versions of the game, only 3 of them have been really documented in historic records. That's Tafl board, Tablet, and Hnefatafl. Tafl board was another 11 by 11 game. And interestingly enough, this game setup is it's half Tafl board and half tablet. This wedge shape here, this is called a wedge formation. It comes from Tafl board. Then this formation here, this wasn't used in Tafl board. These formations out here, these were sort of inspired by tablet. So it's kind of a mix of the two, which is interesting. The corner rule set that I'm going to be explaining here, once again, all of my videos up to this point have been about to the edge. This is going to be corner rules. Corner rules sort of, this is where the king will escape to the corners to win. This sort of began, this rule set emerged in the late 80s, early 1990s. In a book, and gained in popularity as people started getting more interested in the game. They sort of referred to this book, and but the book was sort of the corner rules is sort of based on a misconception about playing to the edge, and at that time, people getting interested in the game again, they didn't, I guess, spend a whole lot of time playing the game and getting real good at it. They kind of made a quick conclusion about playing to the edge, where the king just has to escape to any of the edges. They said that the game was unbalanced when, in fact, it really isn't. But nevertheless, the corner rules is still a good game. It's a different game. They're playing to the edge and playing to the corner is going to give you 2 different games, really. They're completely different. They use different strategies entirely, really. So, prior to 1992, when that book came out, the Tafl board, tablet, historic documents, and then the sort of more modern game historian Smith, Murray, Bell, and the famous 1972 reconstruction of the game, they all played to the edge. No one ever played to the corner. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time criticizing that, because my goal here is to get everybody to play this really well, and because this is how most people are introduced to the game, is with this rule set. Although the last thing I'll say about that is that there was a great article written in the early 2000s, once people kind of kept playing games to the edge, and there's an article in Abstract Games magazine, a real popular magazine about abstract strategy games, that challenged the notion of that playing to the edge was unbalanced and that corner play was much more balanced. There was an article written about tablet by Michael Sandeman that sort of challenged that. So that's really a great article. Anyway, so let's get on to the rule sets. And basically, there's one kind of major rule set, and it's the most popular one here. This company that makes this board is called North America, and they publish this rule set here. And there's a championship held every year, and it's only for one version of Tafl, and it's this version. It's the 11 by 11 Hnefatafl setup with corner rules. and they use these rules for the most part. There's a couple differences, and I'll go over where it is different. And let's see. So I guess I'll go ahead and get started. Actually, lastly, this is a site where you can play this game. It's dragonhillslayer.com, and it's called Hnefatafl because Fetlar, Scotland, is an island where the championships are held, and so they're called the Fetlar rules. There at this site. So you can go to this site, dragonhillslayer.com, and play this game against other people. It's Hnefatafl Fetlar. And okay, so the first rule is that there's 3 pieces, and there's the king and his pawns, and then there's the attacking pawns on the other side. So those are the 3 different kinds of pieces. They all move the same way. They all move like rooks in chess, which is orthogonal movement, this way and that way, down the ranks and files. They don't move diagonally. They don't move like bishops in chess. They don't jump like knights in chess. They just move like a rook. Then here's how they capture. You can capture like in chess, but you have to capture with 2 pieces, and this is called custodial capture. It's where on this move here, it comes down here and he's sandwiched or flanked this piece in the middle here, so the piece would be gone, and that's that way, and it could also be this way, of course. Where you go that way and he's gone, and it's not diagonal where that would not be caught. And moving in between 2 pieces, like if he just moved up here, he's safe because it was his move and they were already there, so he can land between them safely. And then what else about captures is the king can take part in captures in this game. So let's here. So he's like that, and this piece comes down here. This piece would be taken. He's gone. And you could do it also on the king's move too. If the king move here, now he's gone like that. So and then how does people win the game? Well, the king side wins when he reaches any of the 4 corners on the board. So when he lands here, when he lands on these corners, he wins. Now he'll lose, and there's different ways of losing depending on what rule set you use. On all rule sets, the king loses on 4 sides. So if he's surrounded on 4 sides by the opposing player, so that's on all versions. In this version, he'll also lose if there's a stalemate, and if there's a border secured around the whole board where it's impossible for him to reach any corner. There's no use for him to keep playing a game. Then that's a stalemate, and in this book, that's a loss for white. In the Fetlar championships, it's not a loss. It's a tie. Part of the reason is because that happens quite a bit. The other thing is that if the king's here, he's sort of surrounded himself, and because there's maybe the board is secured also all around the board, and he can't get out. It's sort of up closer, and he can kind of either go on the throne or go back and forth between another square, just back and forth. So it's perpetual movement on his turn. That's also a stalemate, and also a loss for white in this book, but it's a tie in the Fetlar championships. And let's see. Okay. The other way to be captured is the king at Dragonhill's lair, and the rules that he labeled there as the Fetlar rules. I don't really actually know if this is at their championship, but the king can also be captured with 3 sides and the throne. And in this book, the North America book, it can be 3 sides and then the opposite side of the throne. Let's see. Also, the king could also, you can wind up with a situation like this. This happens quite a bit, actually, where the king gets trapped on the edge here. He's not surrounded by 4, but black can't place a piece here. So, again, that's where there's variances in the rules. This book here, the North America rules, this would be a loss for the king. When you play in the Fetlar Championships, you have to keep playing. They make you keep playing. So that's a big difference there. And then both rule sets, the Fetlar Championships and this North America book here, there's an interesting thing here about the throne. This is the first game too so far, the first rule set where you can capture against the throne. So let's, he's against the throne here. The throne is the center square where the king starts, of course. So if he moves down here, this piece is captured because the throne would act as the attacking piece 2 squares away. So same thing if that goes against him too. So if this piece is here and he comes here, then this piece is gone. Things are a little different though. What if the king's still on the throne? Well, the rule sets both say that when he comes here, he's gone. Okay. But now look, if the white piece is there, whenever the throne was empty, he's captured. But now that the king's there, he's not captured. This would not be a capture by both rule sets. So those are interesting things to go by. In the strategies that I'm going to go over, I don't have black playing up this close to the king. There's no need to go up that high. That's not. It might happen maybe way later in the game, if he's still trying to capture the king. But you're not going to see that a whole lot when you play. Anyway, so a few more rules to go over. The throne cannot be landed on. Once the king has left the throne, nobody lands on this. Nobody can land on it. They can pass through it, if there's no pieces over it, and he passes, he can pass through the throne. Any piece can, black or white, and the king. But nobody can land on it. Only the king can re-enter it. Okay, that's another major difference between the other games that rule sets I've used so far in my other videos. But this is the first time the king can enter. Well, in Ardri he can too. When I did my Ardri series, he's allowed to do that. So let's see. Next rule. So what's really interesting though about playing where the king gets to the corner is that there has to be some additional rules, because if you just had the king to the corner, then look, in 4 moves here, now nobody can land on, the king can't land on these corners now, and you can't capture him because there's nothing on the other side of him, so the game would be over. So that'd be really silly. So they made a rule. There's a rule where only the king can land on the corners. Nobody else can land on the corners. So that's another important rule. The other important rule about corners is you have to go even a step further. So now, okay, well now I'm just going to play here. I'm just going to play, where the pieces are. Yeah. So now the king still can't land on the corner, remember, because they don't move diagonally. So he's blocked. His ways of getting to all the corners are blocked, and these pieces still can't be captured. So now you have to have another rule that states that this piece will act as whatever's on this square is attacking. So if the king moves there, then boom, now he's gone, and that's going to be a really important part of your strategy on both sides on how you want to play the game. That's really important, that rule. So, but also the way I play. Well, also what you'll see too is that it also acts as to get rid of him. So that's really important. He's gone, and then if he was here, it always acts as whatever's on the other side of here. This rule set doesn't explain that, but in order to be fair, that's kind of how you have to play. I mean, it doesn't mention it. It doesn't say you can't do that. I mean, it doesn't really mention it. But okay, so pieces are captured against the corners, and the corner acts as just an extra man, whatever's attacking it. And then the other rule set is definitely in this. It's definitely at Dragon Hill's lair, but I don't know if it's at the Fetlar Championships. I don't know, but it's just that there's no such thing as perpetual movement, meaning you move a piece. Usually it's when check. Let's say he was check like this. You know, he's like, check, okay, I block you. And he's like, okay, I'm going to attack you. And he's like, okay. And then you just move back and forth. When that happens 3 times in this rule set and at Dragon Hill Slayer, the game's lost. And I think they use that at Fetlar, but I'm not sure. So that's pretty much it. Lastly, I forgot to mention, if you do want to see edge escape is balanced, play to the edge, and also Hnefatafl edge escape. If you want to compare the rules and also compare the strategies, there's a series here, and then just one video here showing how it's adapted for Hnefatafl. But I'm going to continue my corner rules here. Corner rules series of videos here, and so the next video I'm going to start discussing the strategies for the attackers.